been told through home videos posted online for the entire world to see. On the streets of Damascus, this massive march, thousands of people reportedly chanting death rather than humiliation as bodies are carried overhead in a mass funeral. The opposition says that government forces have reasserted their control over some Damascus suburbs. Meanwhile, other street scenes are pretty eerie. This video from one part of Syria reportedly shows an armored personnel carrier captured by rebels after clashes with government forces. Those vehicles are supposedly blown up in protest. And finally, let's take a look at another rare look inside Syria. Not at the fighting, but the aftermath. This burning building was allegedly hit by army artillery. CNN has not been able to independently verify any of these images you've just seen because access to the country is limited for us. Well, as deadly fighting continues in Syria, there's growing pressure from the outside for President Bashar al-Assad to step down. Arwa Damon joining us from Beirut with the latest. Arwa, pretty chilling images that we just saw from inside Syria, and often it's our only source of information to see what's actually happening there.
It is, and that's what makes it incredibly difficult to get an accurate picture of just how the various front lines within the country are shifting. But it most certainly seems as if the fighting continues to be intense in that flashpoint city of Homs, where you had the video that you just showed there of the building that was set on fire. We also have been seeing fighting intensifying in the countryside outside of the capital, Damascus. Over the weekend, there was a big push by government forces to go into the Damascus suburbs that at least momentarily seemed to be in the hands of rebel fighting forces. Now the government has appeared to have exerted its control over those areas, but now, as I was saying, we're seeing the fighting shifting to the countryside as well. And so it most certainly seems as if the various battle lines are moving around at a fairly quick pace as government forces and those who are now fighting alongside the opposition continue to face off, Kira.
So despite Arab and Western support, the UN still hasn't drafted this resolution calling for Assad to resign. Any sign that he might cave?
Not, it would seem, unless Russia and China change their stance, but especially Russia. What gives the Assad regime a lot of its power and what gives them the confidence, shall we say, to continue along this current course is the knowledge that up until now, Russia has been a pretty unwavering international ally. And as long as the Assad regime knows that Russia is going to continue to block any sort of resolution, as it most certainly up until now seems it is going to, the Assad regime seems to be fairly confident that it does have this type of significant international support. When it comes to the pillars holding up the regime inside the country, they still remain fairly intact. Defections not yet on a scale that would really shake the military, and the other various pillars, such as the merchant middle class, they're so far staying largely silent. So the government most certainly seems to be approaching this from what it would perceive to be, from its perspective at least, a position of power. And many analysts and diplomats in Syria will tell you that the first step to getting the Assad regime to come to some sort of negotiating table or even begin to consider stepping aside would be convincing this government that it is beginning to lose power and support.
With Damon out of Beirut for us, Arwa, thanks. And still ahead, we're learning this.